Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Get Loved Up podcast. I am so excited about our guest today. We are going to dive into entrepreneurship and marketing. And I have such an amazing guest who really blew my mind. I found her on Clubhouse and she just lit my soul on fire. She is hilarious. And we're just going to sit back and have some fun. So without further ado, Audria, welcome to the Get Loved Up podcast.
What up? Thank you for having me. I am so excited to be here. So thank you for the opportunity.
Wow. I just can't say enough about how amazing it has been to get to know you, to read your book. And I know that you've really focused on being authentic and authentically finding who you are. Can you share a little bit? Have you always had this big personality since you were born? Or can you share a little bit about how you got into being unapologetically yourself?
Yeah, I am. I could definitely say I have pretty much built the personality that you see now. Like I have become who you see. But I think like all people, we all are taught to be other people. We are taught to have other people's lifestyles and all of that cool stuff. So for me, coming into who I am now was definitely a task because, you know, as I was growing up, I really didn't, I guess you could say, didn't have like a true identity. I was always like solo to myself. And I just know that like over time, I began to build an identity through experiences in life. Because I think oftentimes when we're living our life, you don't really know who you don't really know who you are. And then when you finally do know who you are, it's probably at a pivotal moment that you will never forget because you decide that like, you know what, I'm not going to be what society think I should be. I'm going to be myself. So this personality that you see has come deeply rooted out of bad relationships, out of bad situations, really taking the time to get to know myself and being honest with myself because I know I wanted a better life for myself.
Absolutely. It sounds like you've had to grow a lot when it comes to boundaries. When you talk about bad relationships, can you share kind of how you navigated those relationships to make healthier relationships for yourself?
Yeah, like when you go through a bad relationship, it's always easy to blame the other person. When you in this bad relationship, you're like, oh my God, I've never dated anyone like you again, or I never have a friend like that again. But I do believe these types of relationships shape who we are because in those moments, we get to define our boundaries. We get to define our values. We get to define like what stuff means to us. You know, I'm a phone person. So if I meet people who are not a phone person, you probably won't be my closest friend because that is my form of communication. So I think that when we think about friendships or relationships or even client relationships, I think that's something that we have to think about. Like, you know, having certain clients that like drive you crazy and then having clients that you absolutely love. And the only time you could get to a dream client is through experiences and being able to have bad clients so you know what to not expect when you're moving forward with different people. So I definitely feel like getting to know people and really when you know yourself, it's easy to cultivate the best relationships.
I love that you went into get to know yourself. Can you share a little bit about your journey of getting to know yourself and understanding what you like?
Yeah, so I got to know myself through being compared to other people online. So I think at the time I had this I started my business online in 2014. And when I brought my business online in 2014, I had a program called Build and Make Brands. And at the time, people would come to me and ask me like, hey, what's the difference between your program and this person's program? And it would eat me up alive. Like I literally hated being compared to other people. But what can I say? You know, the way my program was packaged was exactly packaged like the people they were comparing me to. My program was 12 months. 12 weeks, their program was 12 weeks. My program was going to teach you business and marketing. Their program was going to teach you business and marketing. So I couldn't say mine was different, especially if it came in the same package. So I had to like really ask myself, how do I make myself the obvious choice? Well, you make yourself the obvious choice by being yourself. And the only way to be yourself is to stop seeking approval of other people. What are some of the things that you would create that you don't currently see in the marketplace? What are some of those things that you would do that that will feel good and authentic to you. And like, trust that when you put it out there, people are going to actually want it. And it's something that you can stand behind and people can be excited to buy because it's something that was originated by you that wasn't like borrowed from other people.
I love that. I love that. And that's your philosophy with Uncloned. You have to find out what is authentically you.
Yes.
And I absolutely love that. Have you had any challenges when you're really getting to know, like, well, what is it that I really like? I know a lot of people say, I just have trouble finding out my purpose. What is your advice for that person who really doesn't know what it means to be authentically themselves?
Yeah, that's an amazing question. I meet a lot of people a lot of the times, and they say things like, how do I find my purpose? And I feel like you can't find your purpose until you are experiencing life, doing different things. Like, I know when I first started off, I was a photographer. Well, I got introduced by being at a photo shoot. I ended up having a photography, after having the photography business, I had a graphic business. I had a graphic business because I couldn't afford to pay a graphic designer. So really, a lot of these different things or passions or purposes or whatever you want to call it, they come through experiences. Something you got exposed to something either culturally or through experiences or through school, and it shaped who you are, and that's who you became. So when we talk about purpose and passion and like, how do I find out what I'm supposed to do? I would say start having more experiences, because the more experiences you have, the closer you will get to your purpose.
I love that. And I totally agree. I watched that show, Runaway Bride, and she was like doing everything the boyfriend wanted to do, but it wasn't. Yes. She finally, Julia was like, what do I want to do? What do I like? And then she was able to attract someone who really could like her for who she was versus ever-changing person trying to please other people. And within our community, there's a lot of people pleasing. It's like, well, I want to do whatever it is my community wants or whatever it is. So can you talk a little bit about, one, serving your community and the difference between serving your community authentically and really understanding what it is they want and need?
I think oftentimes when we think about what to sell and what we want to offer to our community is deeply rooted in what they want. And what I have found to be wrong with that, I feel like it has to be a balance. It has to be a balance of what they want, but also what are you willing to show up for consistently and ready to serve? Because your community could be like, I want one-on-one time with you. But if your capacity, you're a new mom or whatever the case may be, and you don't have the time to offer one-on-one calls, but that's what your community want, you're now at the mercy of being jerked around by your community and not jerked around through your lifestyle. So I always ask my clients when I'm working with my clients, like, what's your lifestyle? What are some of the things that you want? What are some of your goals? Because that becomes a reflection of what you should create and what you should sell. And then your community is going to be attracted into that because you're not trying to create what they want. You're providing what feels good to you, that allows you to show up with power and not show up with pain and upset and like, oh, I really don't want to do this thing, or this thing is draining me, but that's what the people want. Like, I'm a firm believer of offering what feels authentic to you.
I love that. Find out what feels authentic to you. And one thing you said, know your capacity. And I think that's really important, because as you start to grow, you have to understand your capacity might change. So can you share a little bit about, growing and when you realize like, oh my goodness, I'm at my capacity?
Last year, 2020, never forget it like it was yesterday. My business, I had just published Uncloned Marketing, my latest book, and out of nowhere, I guess good marketing, I got all of these new people. I'm talking about influx of people. And I was offering one-on-one calls, and my calendar was slammed with one-on-one calls. I was offering VIP days. I was slammed with VIP days. I had a mastermind. I was at capacity with mastermind. I couldn't even add new people. And this was the first time in my business where I experienced everything breaking. One-on-one was breaking, group was breaking, one-to-many was breaking, and then I was breaking because I was trying to figure out like how to balance all of these different things. And during that time, I realized that I had a capacity issue. And basically, I was the only person in my business that could do one-on-one one-on-one calls. I was the only person in my business who could do VIP days. I was the only person who could pack and ship the books with my husband. And so during that time, I had to really break my business and ask myself, okay, do you want to hire or do you want to stay small? Because literally that's the only way I was going to be able to scale my business. I had to make the decision of hiring or making a decision to play small. And that was very tough for me because I had pride myself on having this, $1 million business with a lean team. And I'm like, cool, but you can have a multi-million-dollar business if you get the support and help that you need instead of trying to take pride in being small.
I love that. Get the support and help that you need instead of staying small. And it's so true. Like if we want to grow and increase our territory, we have to be willing to upscale. And so how did you navigate? Because also with that team, there comes financing for that team. So can you share a bit about how you managed to be able to scale?
So we decided, I made the decision to hire it in, I guess you could say I decided to get employees in August of last year. And I didn't start the hiring process until probably September, October. And then we actually didn't officially hire to January of this year. But during that time, I had already been putting money to the side, like reserves to the side. I don't know what I thought I was saving for, but apparently it was for this, because as soon as I made the decision to do that, it became clear that I could afford it. Whenever you're trying to hire help, you go straight to the money. Can I afford it? You go straight to the numbers. You're like, okay, I don't know if I can afford this or if I cannot afford this. But I know for me at the time, I wanted to have at least 6 to 12 months of the salary of 2 people. And that would have gave me the confidence to hire. And so once my bank account got to a certain number, I was like, all right, I'm ready to hire. And I could do it confidently without thinking that oh, okay, well, what if we have a slow month? Or what if we don't have enough money that comes in to be able to pay? And so knowing that I have reserves, regardless of where the business was going, it gave me time to nurture those new people. It gave me time to train them and bring them up to speed, as opposed to feeling rushed or trying to figure out how I'm going to pay for them to be here.
I love that. I love that. You gotta create those reserves. And I love your advice to just save up and then save up until you know that you can take care of a new employee for that 6 to 12 months or independent contractor or whatever you decide. What has been your process? Because I know one thing I love about you is your personality and just how fun you are. When it comes to people that you're hiring, what are the main things that you look for?
When I was hiring, I was looking for attention to detail. I was looking for people who follow instructions. That was super important to me. But I was also looking for personality. I am a bubbly, fun, joyful person. And the last thing I want is somebody boring working with me. I just the thought of it sounded scary. So when we did our hiring process, we had a video thing hey, why do you want to work for us? That was the question that we asked on the application. And people had to submit a video. But then once we kind of got to the last few of candidates that we were going to actually, once we got to the interview process, we had picked our top 5, I think it was 5 or 6. We ended up having them do a task, a paid test project. And the test project was to create a marketing plan. And once they did the marketing plan, it became who should be hired, because it wasn't about whether we liked them, whether they were young or old, or they're female or male. It was about who paid attention and who followed the instructions. Because at the end of the day, these were going to be people who would be taking very similar instructions in the work that they would be doing to actually do the job. So the fact that they nailed that meant that they could follow instructions and be trainable.
I love that. I love just having that caveat. You have to go through these steps for me to know if you have the capacity to work. And one thing that I also love by reading your book is that you have specific standards. And how important is it to have standards when you're hiring and building your business?
For me, I've always been big on presentation, professionalism, and mainly because I've been in the service industry pretty much all my life, from offering services to working in services, business service type businesses. So I've always been really big on service. I used to be a flight attendant. So like all of that service is really big in my lifestyle. And so when I think about like how I want to show up and how I want my company to show up and all of those things, I think that setting a tone and the expectation as well as positioning in the marketplace gives you an advantage because people know what to expect. People always know that if they buy something from me, it's going to be well designed, it's going to be polished, and they're going to get it. They know that the presentation is going to be there. So like really setting a standard that people can expect and ultimately something that we can brand.
I love that expectation and letting people know what it is they're going to receive. I think is huge because some places you go, you're going to, if you go on this flight, you're going to get like a specific candy or back when we go to the bank, we would get a sucker and it right. You look forward to those little things. So can you share a little bit? Like, I know that you are big on Clubhouse and that's where we met, your personality. Can you share a little bit about your insight on like this new platform? Because we haven't talked about that much on this show. Can you share a little bit about the power of Clubhouse and how you're using it to grow your company?
Yeah, so we are using Clubhouse for relationship building, nurturing our existing audience and captivating a new audience. We have also been utilizing it for networking. So that has been a huge win. My Instagram following has grown like crazy being on Clubhouse. But I think ultimately, when I think about this platform, it's a platform that I've been hoping would come true. Live voice. Like I love live streaming, but I don't always want to juice my hair up or get dressed up to be on camera. And so Clubhouse give me the best of both worlds while still doing what the power of live streaming can do. So Clubhouse is definitely one of those platforms that I believe is going to be around for quite some time. But I also believe that if you are a person that's always collaborating on Clubhouse, I would definitely encourage you to start your own rooms because that's where the true community begins because you get to set the tone and the culture for how people interact with you on Clubhouse.
I love that advice to start your room. And by your own room, do you mean like just rooms by yourself or your own?
Yes, rooms with you and your community. You start the room, you come up with the topic, and you allow people to come and find you, invite your community and tell them that you are on Clubhouse.
I love that. All right. So y'all thinking about Clubhouse, she's giving keys to the kingdom on there. And so how have you seen, what are the biggest ways? I know you said your Instagram following group, but what are also the biggest ways you have utilized Clubhouse to market your business and services?
So we have used Clubhouse to introduce new products and services. We have used Clubhouse to test out if we only launch on Clubhouse, what's the strength of Clubhouse by itself without doing the fancy funnels, the challenges, the 3-part video series, all of this other fancy marketing that we know that we can do. What is the strength of Clubhouse alone? And typically, if you have a really good title, you can kill it on Clubhouse. And so we have been using Clubhouse to really see like what happens when people leave Clubhouse? Like, how do they go through our entire ecosystem? We know that people will leave Clubhouse and follow us. Boom, we tested that out. We know that people will leave Clubhouse and DM us. That is a number one thing that happens when you're on Clubhouse. But ultimately, and this is, if you're a marketer or you're in business, one of the things that's super important is, will people buy? Can I convert someone who just discovered me today to come to my website and either opt in for something free to learn more about the business or brand, and or will they come to my site and actually buy? And we have tested it out on all price points from free all the way up to $10,000. Well, people will come from Clubhouse and purchase. So it's all about the conversation you're having. It's about how you're showcasing your expertise. But what's more important in Clubhouse is, what do people find beyond Clubhouse? Because I have noticed that like on Clubhouse, some people have really, really, really good profiles on Clubhouse, but everything else is dead. Their websites is trash. Their Instagram is trash. Everything is trash beyond Clubhouse. So I'm definitely going to say that, like, if you're going to like really take Clubhouse to the next level, the same kind of energy you are exerting on Clubhouse needs to be matched across the board on all other platforms.
That is so true. I think that is amazing advice, especially how you really think about where are you going to take them after Clubhouse. I think that's such a key component into making sure that you're providing this experience for your community. And like you said, I've definitely seen what you've seen. You go from Clubhouse and you look at everything else, and it's like, wait, is there
what just happened?
Exactly. So what do you feel? Because I know also, I've followed you and I got in on your texting. So can you talk a little bit about text messaging and how you're using that to build your community?
Yes, text messaging is hands down one of those marketing channels where you have to build trust because everybody is not giving out their phone number as quick as they will to give you their spam email. Can we all agree that we got so many emails that we're either not checking or someone is checking on our behalf, depending on where you are in business? So with that being said, if someone is going to give you their phone number, typically their cell phone number, something that is very personal to them, you better believe that trust has to be there. And so text message marketing has been a very great vehicle in our business. And the cool thing about text message marketing, we can actually track it down to the penny, how much money we're actually making through text message marketing. But it's also a vehicle to get immediate action. So if we're doing a Clubhouse or if we're doing a live stream or we're introducing a new product, the return when we send the text is so fast where it's like, man, it's like way faster than email. I know you can send an email, you still spike in traffic, but one thing about text message, it's kind of like this trickle effect for like a whole hour. It's like, whoa, bam, 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 bam. So text message marketing is definitely something that's cool. It's expensive, but it's one of those vehicles that if you can nurture and cultivate a community through text message marketing, it's definitely a win for your business.
I love that. As y'all can see, she is a wealth of information. And I love that you really break it down from like during the text messaging, it is an investment, but it's an investment that's going to give you some returns. And I
Absolutely.
think that's the most important when it comes to marketing, because there's so much you can spend your money on these days. But if you are going to make a big investment, you want to make sure you're seeing that return.
It's your time to step into your full power and potential. Are you tired of playing small and ready to make a big difference in the world? If your answer is yes, then the Wellness Entrepreneur Mastermind is for you. This mastermind will give you all the tools you need to turn your passion into purpose and live from a space of abundance as you let go of your limiting beliefs and negative self-talk. We coach you to thrive 1 week at a time, one goal at a time. We teach you what's working right now and what's not, so you can position yourself as a community leader and create real change in the world. If you're ready to level up and stand in your power, then go to koyawebb.com/mastermind to join our next group of wellness entrepreneurs. Space is limited and your time is now, so don't delay. Make a difference today.
So moving along with that flow, what have you seen the biggest returns in when it comes to marketing across the board?
I would definitely say live streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Live streaming. People want to see you. They want to see your face. They want to see your personality. They want to see you smile. They want to see you laugh. They want to see stuff fall in your background. They want to see everything. They want to see a human. So live streaming is definitely one of those vehicles it doesn't matter. Like either if your audience is really big on Facebook, go heavy on Facebook. If your audience is really big on Instagram, go heavy on Instagram. Wherever your biggest audience, really cultivate that audience. But if you can use a platform like Restream or StreamYard where you can live stream to multiple platforms at the same time. That way you can get the best of both worlds. Okay, so there's that strategy. The second thing is text message marketing. Like we just discussed that. And then Clubhouse. Clubhouse, it's still in beta. Okay, it's like over 1 million people on the platform. I mean, some people on the platform have like 1 million followers. So the people are there. Okay, so I would definitely say if you are looking to see a growth spurt across all your channels from one place, Clubhouse is definitely a place to spend your time.
I love that. Live stream, text message marketing, and Clubhouse. Text message. That's a tongue twister. Text message marketing. Wow.
Yes.
Okay, so y'all know I'm human. So I think that's great advice. I feel like, of those things, I was doing text message marketing. But I was doing it. And then I got out of it because I didn't have anyone to take over the capacity. And I feel like a lot of times people will hear all of these good things on a platform like Clubhouse, but not have the team to be able to take it on. So can you talk a little bit about strategy, and if someone's just starting out, just getting their website together, what are the most important things for them to do when it comes to building their team to hold a community?
I would definitely say if you're going to create a community, you are responsible for nurturing them. They're like your little babies. They expect you to show up. They expect you to feed them in the form of content, events, experiences, awesome products. And they expect you to be present, not when you feel like it, but it's a job. When you think about some of the most amazing communities, it's because the leader is showing up, the leader is serving and things like that. So that's number one when we start talking about community. But when I think about like what's the smallest thing you can do when you think about like growing your business, you need a website. You need to be taking people and collecting information from them, whether it be cell phone numbers, or whether it's email, right? One of the two. You need to be collecting one of the two. And if you really want to put the cherry on top, get the address, because then you can do some cool stuff with direct mail. But I'm going to keep it easy for you for now. At least collect text messages, like your phone numbers or emails, either or.
I love that. And she put the address in there too. I think so, because a lot of times, when we're creating these events, we are not able to see each other in person. So can you talk a little bit about that for those people who are finding it very hard to go live, or finding it very hard to get on the Zoom every day? What are some of the things that they can do to help them get over their fear? Or also, are there any other options they can do to help them reach their community?
I always tell people, look at Zoom like a stage. If you were being asked to come and speak in front of 10,000 people, that's all that camera is, right? The other side of that camera is, to me, the camera is your stage and your microphone. It gives you an opportunity to not just be with people within one room, but people all over the world. If anything, you should see it as an opportunity to be able to expand your brand and be able to have global reach instead of being limited to like 100-200 people that you would probably have at your own events.
I love that. And I know a lot of people are talking about imposter syndrome, having imposter syndrome. I've heard that so much. What do you think and feel about imposter syndrome?
Honestly, I had to Google it last year because I kept hearing it so much. I'm like, what is this? And once I figured out what it was, I think when we define imposter syndrome, I always have seen it as a natural human thing. There's always going to be something in our life that seems like, oh, am I being a fraud, or whatever the case may be. The truth of the matter is, every single day, you're probably going to feel like that. If you are a mother, you're going to always question, am I a good mother? If you are a wife, you're going to always question, am I a good wife? If you are a coach, a consultant, a teacher, you fill in the blank, you're going to always question, are you good enough? And I think that when we talk about imposter syndrome, it's kind of one of those things where I'm not downplaying and saying, oh, it's not real. But I think at some point we have to stop giving our fears titles and start owning the fact that we have to be responsible for the things that we say we want to do. And when we talk about, I always think that, like, if I have a fear or something that's holding me back or something that's making me not see myself in a bigger light, that means that I haven't done something to pour into myself, to feed into myself, because self-doubt is inevitable. There is no fearless person that's walking around like don't have no fear about nothing. Even when a boxer goes into the match, they don't know if they're going to get their head knocked off, but they know that they have prepared themselves to the best of their ability to go in there and do the work. And that's how I kind of see it. I don't know enough about it to be able to give too much about it. But when I hear people talk about it, I'm just like, man, that's what I deal with every day. Like, it doesn't seem like an issue. It just seems like a part of being.
I love how you normalize it. And I 100% agree. It is something natural that happens to all of us. And I love how you really say you have to see it as a fear and nurture it, because that's what we do at Get Loved Up. Those fears are your friend. Nurture it, pour into it. Know that that's just a place that you have to grow. And that's just you have to work on. So thank you so much. I think that's great advice. And people, like you said, you can give anything a name if you want to just have an excuse. Well, that's what I'm having, so now I can't be great.
Yes.
But about looking at it as, oh no, this is just a place where I need to grow. So I love how you just kind of spent it and was like, it's not really about the label. It's more about acknowledging like, okay, I'm feeling this way. Now what can I do about it?
Absolutely.
And what do you feel like when it comes to marketing? I mean, you definitely have the keys to the kingdom. So what have been some of the biggest things that you've shared with your clients that you've seen help them go to the next level?
A lot of people are afraid to spend money on ads. Let me tell you, some of the people who probably would have never found me came through an ad. I popped up in their news feed and they were like, "Ooh, who's this girl with this pink background and this curly hair?" Like, I think we have to understand that advertising is about discovery, because I hear a lot of people say, well, I'm not getting any traction. Well, if you've been promoting and marketing yourself to the same 200 people, you haven't done anything to multiply to 300 or 400. Eventually, I always tell people this thing is going to happen called audience fatigue. And it's basically where, your audience will eventually begin to ignore you because they're still discovering new people. And so they probably thought you were cool, but then they just found someone else that's even more cooler. That's not to say that they won't hang out with you anymore, but now they have two cool people to navigate their time between. And so the thing about building a business is that you have to always actively be building your audience. That's probably why I love Clubhouse so much. That's why I love live streaming so much. That's why I love running ads. I love things like any type of experience that'll bring groups together. So like workshops, webinars, 3-part video series, challenges, things that allow you to cultivate a new audience and nurture your existing audience will always be for the win. So I would definitely say audience building, because at the end of the day, you cannot sell to zero.
I think that's a great first step, building your audience and knowing that it's a continual thing. No matter how big your audience is, you have to continue doing it and have to continue discovering new people. And I love that you kind of went to ads, because it's something that I also had a fear about at first. I was like, well, I don't know. People won't like ads, especially when it comes to like our base, which is wellness, yoga, spirituality. So when it comes to that, like, how have you seen it be helpful for you to really get a person like to understand the importance of ads and how they work to build your community?
It's kind of like, I always tell people like, yes, ads are meant to be disruptive, but you don't think that you're being disruptive when you market to your current people who ask to see you, who ask to be on your email list. You send them an email and they're in the middle of like raising their kid or changing their baby's pamper. Like, all of this stuff is interruptions when we think about it. Like, there is no perfect way to market. Like, oh, I send emails every Monday and Friday, so my team loves me. Like, yeah. But at the end of the day, you're still missing out on the opportunity to nurture and find new people. That's all advertising is. It's an opportunity for someone. And I always tell people this, like, somebody right now is Googling you, but they can't find you because you don't do ads. Like, the perfect person that like looking for you, their chest is hurting. You got this best herb that can help them, but they can't find you because ads are not for you. Okay. So you're going to let this person suffer because you don't want to do ads. So I always tell people that like ads don't have to be disruptive, because I've seen some really cool, funny ads. If anything, ads allow you, I always say ads allow you to get discovered. It allows people to know that you exist. That's all ads are meant to do, is to say, hey, I'm over here. If you like me, come on over. Like, that's what ads are. They're not meant to be like the boogeyman. Like, aha, I came to destroy your day. Like, it's not supposed to be that. So, yeah.
Well, you definitely put a beautiful face on ads. And I think people need to hear it and need to hear over and over that like it's just a part of the discovery to get people to know you. And if they don't have it, then people won't know you exist. I think that's just a lovely way to put it. And when it comes to, I want to kind of go back a little bit. And when it comes to kind of like knowing yourself, a lot of people will say, well, I found my purpose, but what should I do? Should I focus on social media? Should I focus on a website? Do I have to do social media? What is your response to that?
I always say do what you feel consistent, that you can be consistent with. So if you are an amazing writer, then blog your butt off. If you are really good with your voice, create a podcast. If you're really good on camera, do live streaming, do YouTube videos, whatever matches your personality. But I'm going to stretch you a little bit because sometimes we can play in a zone that feels good to us, but it's not as impactful. So for instance, you might decide you want to blog, but will your audience read a blog? You might decide that I'm really good on voice, but do I really want to see you? So it's kind of like, yeah, you want to be comfortable and do things that feel comfortable to you, but you also don't want to leave your people feeling like they don't connect with you. So like, it also depends on what you sell. So like, if I wanted to learn how to, put together a camera kit, I don't want to listen to that. I want to see a YouTube video. Like, it doesn't make sense for you talking me through it. Like, yeah, right now we're turning the tube, blah, blah, blah. Or if you're trying to teach me how to create aromatherapy bath, yeah, you can talk me through it. But man, me seeing you put them herbs in the tub, that's a whole different vibe. So I think it depends on what it is that you're actually teaching and what makes sense for the delivery of what it is that you're going to be creating.
Absolutely. I think that's so true. And I've seen so many people be successful at different things. Like some people own YouTube and then other people own the podcast. And it really is about finding that fit of like, what do you love to do more? And speaking of which, a lot of people say, okay, I'm putting myself out there, but, I'm really focused on doing what my community wants, but I really don't like it. So when it comes to that, what is your advice on a person that's like, just really not sure how to connect with their community?
9 times out of 10, we've all been taught, survey your audience, give them what they want. And it's kind of like this old saying that like, I forgot who said it, but basically the quote was basically to the effect of like, if we would have asked people what they wanted, we would have still be driving horses. Basically, cars wouldn't exist. And so I think that we have to allow for innovation, and that comes from you. That's very intuitive. That's very you-ish, meaning, what do you see being the future? What do you feel good about? What feels good to you? But then it also can't be too futuristic because then you're going to go over people's head. So that's where you have to have your hand on the pulse. And that could be from listening to your people. That could be reading the comments. That could be what are people saying. But it should not be at the expense of what you wouldn't want to do. Like you should not be creating or be married to a particular product or service that is very detrimental for you to offer. It should be very enjoyable. And if it's not enjoyable, then like, why are you doing it? Because at the end of the day, you're going to burn up and blow up anyway. So you might as well do what you love.
Do what you love, but make sure it's in balance with what your community is wanting to receive at the same time. I think that's amazing advice. And now we want to kind of get to know you more. We want to know how you get loved up. So I know, as you know, being in wellness, we always talk about morning routines and rituals and things like that. Do you have a morning routine? And if so, what does that look like?
No, I don't have a routine. My routine, I have a routine, but it's not like her traditional, like I get up and I run and I drink tea. And no, I get up, I acknowledge my husband. He acknowledged me. So I'm always saying, good morning, King. He says, good morning, Queen. I get up, I take a bath, I wash my face, brush my teeth. I get prepared and refreshed. And then I get to serving. That could be me meeting with the team, doing a lovely podcast such as this, just all different types of things, because I think that you have to find what works for you. And as much as I would like to have a ritual, I ain't there yet, but I'm not going to beat myself up because it doesn't exist yet.
I love that. And I love, like, even though it might only be like a shorter time and maybe might not look like mine, that is definitely a beautiful ritual. I love how you salute your partner and say, hey, king and hey, queen. I think that is so powerful, just like to acknowledge each other in that powerful way. And then that self-care of like washing your face and doing your personal hygiene. I mean, because some people just get up. I know even sometimes, I'll be honest, sometimes I go right to my phone in the bed.
Yeah.
So the fact that you take that time to pamper yourself before you wake up, I mean, whether you call it that or not, that is a beautiful ritual. And I always tell people, whether it's 5 or 10 minutes or 2 hours, having that time does set you up for your day. So thank you so much. And when it comes to like food, what I always like to ask people, because I tell people, look, you don't have to, and I know you're working on your plant-based diet and things like that. So I'm excited to hear how that's going. But what are your 3 favorite fruits and your 3 favorite vegetables?
I love kale. I used to hate kale. I thought it was the most disgusting thing on the planet, but now I love kale. I can eat it as a salad. I can drink it as a juice. I love apples. I love peaches, plums. Oh my God. I love watermelon. Who doesn't like watermelon? But those are like my favorite fruits. And then my favorite, you said favorite food or vegetable?
Vegetables.
I always get the 2 mixed up.
Oh, kale, that's one.
Spinach. I love spinach. And I would definitely say, is cucumber a vegetable?
Yes, I love you. Yes, cucumber is a vegetable.
Nailed it.
It's okay. I mean, like, we all have to start doing. And I love that you're like, look, I'm in here and I'm trying. And it's so funny because, I mean, I meet people every day, like, I don't even eat fruits and vegetables. I can even meet vegans that don't eat fruits and vegetables. It's just like mostly processed food and like maybe 1 or 2. So thank you so much for sharing that. And so ideally, like if it was your world, and I think this is really important because we've had a lot going on. We're in the middle of a pandemic and there's a lot of things going on when it comes to social justice and how we communicate with people. So if you were to wake up tomorrow and you could just wave a magic wand and the world will turn into Audria's world, what would it look like?
I would wake up. I would wake up and someone would be a chef, a vegan chef, would be walking into my bedroom every morning with vegan breakfast. And it would have all my favorites that's healthy. And me and my husband would get up, eat our vegan breakfast, laugh, high five, joke, because my husband is a jokester. We would joke. And then after that, I will have my water prepared. And in my water would be fresh cut fruit ready for your girl. Soon as I get out, somebody will be ready to do my facial and my makeup. And my stylist will have my wardrobe ready. And I'll be ready to go and slay the world. Welcome to Audria's world. Okay, baby.
I love that. I love that. And like you said, like a queen, you deserve this. I love that because when you are your best, you're able to best serve others. And so I really love that you gave us that insight. And have you watched Coming to America 2?
Love it. Love it, love it, love it.
I laughed my heart out because basically they had all that service. And
yes.
Interesting when you have this access to get what you need, how you're able to serve. And that's how we look at, self-care and self-love when it comes to the Get Loved Up community is the more that you pour into yourself, the more you're going to be able to pour into others. So it's very
absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with being service. I think that oftentimes we don't see pictures like that, like Coming to America, where you wake up and, because we're so used to doing things ourselves. But I think it's important for us to see being serviced. And I think that's what I loved about the movie a lot. It's just seeing how they were being serviced.
Yes, I agree. I think it's really important to allow, because even back in the day, you will wash each other's feet and give each other a massage. And even in my family, we very much we massage each other, we hug each other. And I feel like a lot of times in a common society, especially since we're mostly on our phones, we're missing out on that personal connection and serving one another.
Absolutely.
And without doing that, we're missing out on this human connection of loving and being loved. and just adding in that service can add that back to our lives.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. And so books, I know you are big on books and you're always giving, the best book recommendations. So can you give us kind of your top 3? You got to read these books.
So who's in your room? Like, if you are reevaluating your relationships and connections with people, or you want to understand why you are attracting certain people and how to propel those people and start attracting new people, Who's in Your Room is an amazing book. The second book would be The Code of the Extraordinary Mind. That is such an amazing book. And then the 10 distinctions between the I think it's the middle class and the rich or something like that, but it's all about how poor people think versus the middle class, and like not how rich people think in the middle class, and like it's a complete mind bender, because you'd be like, oh, that is thinking small. Like, you don't be thinking about it until you like see it on paper. So yeah, those would be the top 3.
I love it. I love that. Thank you so much. And your favorite podcasts. What are some of the podcasts that really have your ear right now?
I used to listen to a lot of podcasts. I'm really big on audiobooks now. But if I had to take time out to go listen to a podcast and know for sure I'm going to get some juice, it would be Amy Porterfield's podcast.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yes, I love her. Such an amazing marketer when it comes to online marketing. And then I also want to know, and this is, because you are so funny, you're so hilarious, but how important is it for you to just feel like you're connecting with your audience one-on-one?
It's important because people are so used to being a number. Mm-hmm. Like, it's amazing how used to people being a number. Like, I remember where I'll pick up the phone, or I may call someone, or I may text someone, be like, "What's up? How you doing? Is this Audria?" That is like, people are so used to being a number and like not being important or not being significant in people's community, to the point that if someone did reach out, it's like, whoa, it's you. Like, you can change some of your people community, some people in your lives, in your community, if you take the time to acknowledge that they are human, you are human, and you appreciate them. I think that's what we're missing, is that a lot of people, the bigger they get, it seems like the more, talk to 15 of my assistants before you can say hi. Like, we need to stop that. Like, it's not that serious.
I love that. Well, thank you so much. I'm really excited. And I loved your book. I read your book, and I feel like everyone should definitely check it out. So can you share with people where they can find your book, and also where they can learn some more about you and the services you have to offer?
Absolutely. So I am Audria Richmond across all social media platforms, and you can grab any of my books, my most recent book, Uncloned Marketing, at audriarichmond.shop.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And you all check her out. And thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Get Loved Up podcast. We are thriving because of you listening, because of you sharing, and especially because of your reviews. So if you haven't already, please leave a review. They mean the world to me, and I read them all. And once you leave a review, screenshot it and send it to me, koya@koyawebb.com, and I will send you a little digital gift. And until next time, love yourself, love others, and love the world in that order, one day at a time, one breath at a time. Peace and love.
I just want to take a moment to say thank you for being part of the Get Loved Up community. I like to share topics and people making a positive impact in the world, and your feedback means the world to me. If you haven't already left a review, please leave a 5-star review and let me know what you want to hear more of on the show. I'm here for you, and together we're making the world a better place, one day at a time, one show at a time. Thank you for listening.